Welcome to another awesome anti-racism, February 10th. And before we get to our ABCs of anti-racism today, let's have a little bit of check-in on history. And to note that my birthday is January 6th, and that was when that historic event happened that has now led to the first day of the impeachment of the last president. And as I tell everyone, I think all of these problems are rooted in racism. And caste. I just saw a headline that stated that most of the people who participated in that invasion of the Capitol had economic or financial problems, from bankruptcy to debt and probably unemployment. Something many Black people are familiar with. So rather than invading the Capitol and engaging in fantastic thoughts that a handful of guns can overthrow the strongest military and the most well-grounded constitution that exists, it's fantasy, and I love fantasy and science fiction. But what this year, the age we are entering, the age of Aquarius, the age of the sixth sun, the 21st century, is time to create compassionate community. And how do we create compassionate community? By finally recognizing and acknowledging the wrongs and lies this country has perpetuated, and our caste system and racism. So just think about that. But today's word is the letters E, and the word is exclude. Now, we can go all the way back to American history, to the very beginnings of how exclusion has been applied in this country. From the exclusion of people of different religions, but in terms of race, the exclusion of Black people, Native Americans, Asians, Latinos, people from the Middle East, and even at times different white people, depending upon when they came into this country. So we must first recognize this country, even though purporting open arms to welcome those who have been persecuted and oppressed and denied freedom. How many times throughout this history were the new immigrants, no matter if their skin color was white, they were new, the new kids on the block, faced exclusion, oppression, injustice, and it continues to this day. But this is the 21st century, and I'm actually able to do a show called Awesome Anti-Racism, which would have been totally alien to people probably even 10 years ago, because people still don't like to talk about racism. They treat it like the N-word. But racism is as American as apple pie. And the only way we change that recipe and change that story is through awesome anti-racism. So how else have Black people and other people been excluded in the land of the free and the home of the brave? Well, as I keep reminding people, the preponderance of people who hold power in this country, political power, economic power, educational power, media power, religious power, are by and large white, males. Now, that results in a situation called apartheid, which many of us fought to end in South Africa, and still it is a challenge. Because even though you can change the political dynamics, changing people on an individual one-to-one basis takes time and effort, patience, and compassion. So we have agreed and know that that word, the ABC of racism today, anti-racism, is exclude. And to be an active ally of anti-racism is to work on and looking at how you are excluding people who are different from you. It might be in this time of the pandemic where you've failed to take advantage of having to stay home or your work being from home to look into learning about other people's, other cultures, see how other people are doing things. And if you're still out and about, and when you get out and about again, how many people who didn't grow up the way you did do you know? How many people who didn't go to your college, don't work in your profession? How many people in your community are excluded from positions of influence or power, or just even being able to be heard, to be listened to, and to be considered relevant? Oh, and why did exclude come up? Because of an article I read in The Root, an online black news magazine that's free and you can subscribe to it. It was a very forceful article written about a Florida legislator who wants to deny felons and ex-felons and teenagers the right to earn the $15 an hour minimum wage that was passed by over 60% of the voters in Florida. And Florida does have a bad history of having the legislature turn over the votes of the people. So he wants to exclude those who most need to make $15 an hour. And also the argument, which was failed to be seen by anyone, is that it could be to an advantage of the felons and teenagers who would get paid less money, because some people, some employers would be happy to pay less money and take their chance on hiring a felon or a teenager who could do the job. So we've just seen how you can take a word that has one negative meaning, turn it around, it has another meaning and can actually turn out to be good. Because even the exclusion that black people and other people and groups have had has led to sometimes coming together and gaining internal community and cohesive strength to support each other and protect each other from those negative things that can happen out here in the world. So that's it for Awesome Anti-Racism this week. The word was exclude. Look at the many ways it can be negative or possibly positive. Until next week, remember to breathe deeply, smile, and be grateful. And I remain your associate, creating compassionate community.